Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome to this new live stream of Gate-Away. Today, we'll cover another subject that we know it's very, very interesting for all of you. We received a lot of questions, a lot of comments about the subject, and we know that there is a lot of misinformation about this. There is a lot of confusion. All the information on the internet is not clear and sometimes it's not really accurate. So today we will cover it with a professional, a mortgage consultant, which is called Armando Bechi, which I welcome to in this live stream. And,
thank you, Simone.
Welcome, Armando, and thank you for being here. And he will help us understand how non-Italian people can get a mortgage in Italy, because we know that a lot of people, especially now, are really interested in buying a property in Italy, but they don't know how to finance that, or they do not have the cash to buy the whole property. So we know that there is a lot of interest in. So Armando, you will help us understand the subject and going through the subject and make clear all the doubts that all the people have. Can you tell us about you and what you do so we can understand why you are here talking about mortgages? A little bit of yourself.
Yes, we will go through the jungle, let's say. Let's hope.
Yes, definitely. So, we definitely is a jungle, especially for non-Italians.
It is.
For foreign buying, I think, sorry, Armando, I think it's quite common for people who wants to buy something important like a property in another country. It's definitely a jungle everywhere in the world, not just in Italy. So
absolutely. In fact, when I give my consultancy, I always try to understand and to think how I would be. I mean, I would be in the same position, of course, if I would like to buy or get some financial information in another country. So that's why it is very important, effectively, to give a guideline to the clients. I'm a mortgage consultant since about 15 years. And my service and my experience is to follow the international clients, not resident in Italy, that want to effectively approach banks and get the right channel. And I follow all the clients all along the steps of the process from the beginning till the end. It's a market which has a limited offer, but there is an offer. So it's very important to say, first of all, that it's something that we can do it. So, and I passed through lots of different periods on this market, which is quite variable, but now it's very strong. And so people, I mean, we welcome them in Italy, and we say that.
So you work for the private person who wants to buy a house in Italy, who is looking for a mortgage, and you guide him, her, them through the process and finding the right bank to find the right mortgages. Is that correct?
Yes, we have experience on this sense. To really, I like the word to follow, to follow the clients, because it's really a travel, a trip to the end. And it's full of details, of course, things that you must understand correctly. But of course, it's very important, the first steps, also in order not to waste the time of the clients. And we know that this kind of operation is always a very tight timing, especially now that the market is very dynamic. And so it is very important to have very soon the right idea, if something is possible or not.
So you take them by hand, you lead them through the jungle up to the end. So let's get into this jungle and see what expects us. So can any international buyer obtain a mortgage in Italy? Because I know that there is a lot of information saying that not everyone, or it's very difficult. So how it is? Can any international buyer obtain a mortgage in Italy?
Yeah, it's quite often that I receive requests from clients which are a bit pessimistic, and they say, please tell me that is not true. So yes, it's absolutely possible. Of course, like all the things, I mean, also for Italian, or in other sectors, in another sector, there are some parameters that must be achieved and satisfied. And I would say that in the very beginning, we have to understand what is the currency of the incomes for the applicant, what is the citizenship, and what is the country of fiscal and physical residence.
So let's say that everyone is eligible to get a mortgage in Italy. Then personally depends on where you come from, the currency and
exactly. And then of course we have a lot of other parameters that maybe we will go through later.
Well, definitely.
And crossing this kind of parameters, we can understand if a person is eligible or not. But it is absolutely possible. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So let's go through these parameters. So, well, let's say what's the procedure? If I want to buy a house, I don't know, I'm non-Italian, wherever. I don't want to make a precise example, but I'm non-Italian. I know I'm interested in buying a house in Italy. I don't know yet which one, maybe, or maybe I do. And I want to know if I can finance that first of all. What are all the steps I have to go through to get a mortgage, or to understand if I can finance a house through a bank?
Yeah, first of all, you are very lucky if you want to buy a house in Italy and you are able to do it. Let's say that we have to follow quite a formal process. Initially, it can be an informal process, but then, of course, it must become a formal process, which I would say pass initially through the identification of the property. It's very difficult now to explore officially a mortgage application without having an identification of the property. It's no more the time to...
So if I don't know which property I want to buy, if I have not spot or picked up a property, a specific property, it's difficult to go to the bank.
Especially in this moment, which is very full of requests, it's very important to have already a path already walked a bit.
So the scenario is actually the bank right now are full applications.
Exactly. So you must be a serious applicant, and this means also to have already identified, or you have a very clear idea of the house that you want to buy and that you want to finance.
Which means not your idea of a house, but you must have a property that you have found that you want to buy.
Most of the banks require in order to start the official process to have already a purchase proposal already signed and accepted and countersigned.
Maybe that will give priority. Well, maybe not priority, but
no, they need effectively the system requires to insert the data of the property, so you cannot do anything. That's why now it's very common to have a conditioned purchase proposal, which is a purchase proposal which is conditioned to the mortgage approval. Because you have to have this.
Okay, so that works. Everybody know we already made live streams talking about the buying process in Italy. So if you make a formal purchase, a formal, how do you say, application, a formal offer for the property, then you are obliged to buy that house. But in this case, you put the condition that I will buy this house if I get a mortgage to pay.
Exactly. Usually there is a deadline for this mortgage condition, because the seller, of course, must accept this condition. But it's quite usual now, so there is no problem about this. So once you have these, you can go to the bank and submit your request, presenting personal documents, financial documents, banking documents, incomes documents, and property documents, of course. Then maybe we can go through these if you want.
Yes, definitely.
And the bank will make a macro analysis of your profile. First of all, they will give you a mortgage approval based on your economic and financial profile. And this approval will be subject to the good result of the inspection that they have to make and they have to carry on the property. And after the good result of the survey, the bank will give you the second final definitive mortgage approval. This survey will have to confirm the value of the house and the legality of the house.
Okay, so they will check your personal details, of course.
Yeah.
They must understand who you are and what's your income, and then
Of
probably
course.
then
Job
we
position.
go through exactly job position, and then we have all that's why you need to have a property.
Exactly. Otherwise, there is not the second passage, and so you will not finish your application. No.
So they must understand how is the value of that property to understand how much money they will give you.
Exactly.
Okay.
We can speak just right now, if you want, about the loan to value, no, that we can get. This is one of the parameters of the operation. Actually, for foreigners, the bank in Italy cannot give you more than 60%, 60% of the purchase price. So I would say that the first suggestion is that if you do not have 40% as personal capital, personal funds, you cannot make the operation. This must be very clear. If you have not your funds for at least the 40% of the price, there is not so much sense to approach a bank.
So let's make an example. I find a house I really like. I make an offer. They will value. I go to the bank. They will value. They make the property survey. They will value the property worth as 100,000 euros. They maximum by law will give me 60,000 euros.
Exactly.
And also they will check if I have the remaining 40,000 euros.
Exactly. This is another important parameter to evaluate you as a serious client, applicant. So once you present a case, let's say 100,000 euro as purchase price, you will ask for maximum 60%, 60,000 euro, and you will have to show that you have actually an available fund, personal fund for 40,000 euro.
Okay, they must be available. So you cannot have another property worth 40,000 euro to cover the other one, because you have to buy the house. So 60,000 will give you the bank, 40,000 you have to give to the
This
seller.
is a very important element. Sometimes I receive clients which tell me, I have this sum of money. What I can afford in terms of purchase price, considering the possibility to get the mortgage, and we make the calculation that more or less must follow these parameters, 60-40. This is one of the first questions that always they have. How much must be my down payment? And then they start to understand the potential price range that they can afford, and they start to search.
I think it's quite clear at this point. Can you go through all the parameters that the bank has to check? As you said, personal, financial, banking, etc.
In terms of personal parameters, let's say, first of all, as we said, the citizenship and the residency, the country residency. Then the age. The age is important because differently from some foreign countries abroad, in Italy, there is quite a rigid limit in the age. You cannot be more than 75 years old at the end of the mortgage. And usually they don't give you more than 20 years duration mortgage, usually. So this is one of the parameters. Then we have the income parameters, which are very important.
Sorry, before we move forward, so just to make it clear, so I must be 75 by the end of the mortgage, and they usually don't give more than 20 years. So if I want to have a 20-year mortgage, I must be maximum 55, something like that.
This is correct.
Okay, but, so if I'm 65, I probably will expect no more than 10 years mortgage from the bank. That's how it is. Okay, thank you.
And usually they consider the older applicant, if there is a couple with different age.
Okay.
That's. But then also is important who has the incomes and so on. But let's say apart from these specific cases, you understood correctly. This is the way they calculate.
Okay, this is the personal parameters.
Yeah. Then we have the income parameter, which is very important, of course. What you do. your job position. Let's say that usually it's easier if you are an employed worker instead of a self-employed, but it's still possible.
Employed, not unemployed.
Not unemployed.
Employed.
More difficult also. Yeah. So employed or self-employed, but we can get mortgage also for self-employed. But it's a bit more difficult because, of course, the demonstration of the incomes is a bit more complicated. But you can. If you are unemployed, you must be not in a probation period, for example. Maybe you change it right now, your employer, so there is this problem maybe, or yes, you must have an unlimited term contract, like most of Italians, for Italians as well. So these are the main point. Then, of course, we must consider the incomes, personal net incomes after taxes, and we must compare with the debts that eventually you have, like personal loans or other mortgages and so on. The bank will make an exact calculation of ratio between incomes and debts, let's say.
Okay. So the more debts you have, the more your income must be to obtain another mortgage, another loan.
Of course.
Another debt.
And then you have the banking parameters, I would say, is the one that you already said. So we must prove to the bank and show to the bank that we have the balance of the price available.
Okay, the remaining 40%.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you have cash or savings or invest. Hello?
Okay.
Hello? Yeah.
Okay, we're seeing. Sorry, people, we got problem. I wanted to say that because I had a delay in the images. We got problem with the connection.
Now you're right.
Okay, now it's fine. But I want to say, because it might happen again, because we had problem before the live stream started, and because we have here, especially where I am now, Armando is another place in Italy, but where I'm here now, there is very, very, very bad weather. So I apologize in advance if something happened to the connection. So let's finger crossed nothing happens. And let me also say, once I interrupted, at the end of this session, at the end of this conversation, we will have a question and answer little time. So please, people, comment all your questions in the comments below the live stream. So we will cover as many as we can towards the end of this live stream. So please ask your question and comment the live stream. So I'm sorry for interrupting you, Armando. You can go.
Yeah, then we have maybe the final point in relation of the parameters, which is the property. The property, of course, the property is very important because effectively it's the guarantee for the bank, apart the personal incomes of the client. But that is the main guarantee. So it is very important to have, some words about this. The property must be minimally habitable, let's say. This is a very generic terms that sometimes foreigners do not understand, but it means that you can go there and live in some way. Why? Because the bank must have a minimum guarantee that will give to them more option and more possibility to resell the house by auction if the mortgagee will not pay the mortgage. So they don't want to have unfinished house or unhabitable house and so on. So the property must be habitable. It is always better if the property is in a location which has some kind of market, so maybe touristic or high value market. It is better always in this way. In the mind of the bank, is always better if it's easier to resell the property.
So it doesn't really mean that the property price is higher. It can be 100,000 euros in both parties, but in an area where the bank knows that they will resell the property quicker. If you don't pay the mortgage, then you are more likely to get a mortgage.
Exactly.
independently if it's more higher price or not.
Exactly. Then we will have also, some location which are preferred by the bank, maybe because the bank has more experience, more competence in some kind of locations and less in others. No? So effectively, it is very important to make this analysis on the property. But generally speaking, let's say that you can make the operation all around Italy. Then, of course, each case has special treatment.
Okay. Well, there is a question. How long does the process up to the survey at this point take?
You mean before to make the survey?
Well, I think once you go to the bank, you have the property you want to finance.
Yes.
I'm
Let's say
trying to
that.
interpret.
Also here, I have to give to you generic answer, of course. No, then it depends a lot from many points. But generally speaking, let's say that we consider that after the bank meeting, because usually we have to make a personal bank meeting, no, to start with the process. After the bank meeting, we usually calculate about 6 weeks to go to the completion. Of course, these if there is
1.5 months.
Yeah, between 1 and 2 months. No, this if there is no problems along the street. No, for example, if the survey of the bank relieves some kind of problems on the property. No, maybe some kind of legalization that the owner must make. It's clear that the property must be completely legal 100%. No, if you have a bank involved. So. But if everything goes smooth, let's say approximately 6 weeks to complete the process.
Okay. But if something is wrong, they will say no to the mortgage.
Is something wrong with the property, you mean, or with the client?
With anything, with any parameters that you find.
They will say no, of course.
So but you will have an answer.
Yeah. But usually I would suggest not to wait for more than 1 month behind the bank without having any kind of feedback, because sometimes it happens that clients wait 2-3 months without having any kind of feedback. This is a very bad signal. So I would suggest to change at that point the channel or the bank or whatever, but to change strategy after 1 month.
Okay, so no, don't wait longer than 1 month to get.
Especially now because the market is very dynamic, and banks sometimes initially prefer not to say no, and then maybe you go ahead and you go ahead. No, so it's better to go ahead quickly after 1 month.
Definitely. I would like to go back to the habitable concept of the property.
Yeah.
So there is no way to finance a property that must be pulled down and rebuilt before you rebuild. It must be habitable.
It's very difficult because the bank in mind is that if you have to demolish completely the house and rebuild, there is one moment on which they do not have any kind of guarantee, because the house is not existing.
Stop paying the mortgage.
If you stop to pay the mortgage, the bank has nothing. No, so that's why they don't like to have this kind of property. No.
Yeah, because we need to understand the point of view of the bank. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Why they do that? Why they don't finance this type of mortgages? Because they must be sure they will get the money back if you don't pay the mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, the negative answer have always a sense for the bank. No, so we just have to understand the bank in mind to go through the jungle.
Okay, so you must know your enemy to fight it. Okay, thank you very much. So you were talking about the location. Is there any difference between locations in Italy? I mean, regions,
as I said before, effectively there are some locations in which there are a lower offer, let's say. probably bank has less branches or less experience. So yes, sometimes we have a lower offer in some place and a higher offer in other place. But
with lower or higher offer, you mean availability of banks, of
exactly.
banks, or,
maybe we have just one bank potentially, and in another place maybe we have 2 or 3 banks. No? So it's clear that the most common areas are more welcomed by the bank.
So there is not much difference in regulation between, I don't know, Piemonte and Sicily.
No, the rules are the same.
Are all the same, but
it's only a problem of offer. No, it's only a problem of the policy of the bank or the presence of the bank. No?
So, for instance, in one region there are, I don't know, 10 banks. I have no idea if it's a reasonable number. In one region,
you're right.
There might be 10 banks where you can go
to
ask a mortgage, and in another region there can be one. And so either they give it to you or they don't, and that's because you have to go to the bank in the region where you want to buy a house. You cannot buy a house in Basilicata and go to the Tuscan bank.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
it depends on the banking channel. Some banks have some, let's say, specialized central office which can manage operations all around Italy.
Okay.
So effectively, it's not completely true.
Okay, so there might be some.
It depends on the banks. I have to say that it's very important to understand that each bank has its own policy, no? And its own process and way of working and analyzing the application. So maybe you don't have to stop to the first one, because it does not mean that every bank is like this. No, every bank has some things that like and some things that they don't like. No? So
so something that for them is reasonable to accept, and some other they think it's not reasonable to accept.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. So if you want to buy a house in a region where there is only one bank or two banks, they both said no to your mortgage, it's worth to give it a try to go to another region.
Absolutely.
Or maybe to ask.
And maybe ask to a national, a more national bank, let's say, a more structured bank.
Okay. I'll try to say something. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I mean, is it possible that, for instance, we know that I don't know, an area like Florence or other area are very popular, as you said before. It depends on how much is resellable, that property. So if you find a quite resellable property in an area that the bank knows that it's quite resellable, even if it's in another region, then is it more likely they might finance that?
Yeah,
instead
also
of,
because
lost in the countryside or
exactly
a lost place.
Yeah, also because probably the evaluation, the survey result will consider this point. It's clear that if the property is only, special and fantastic for you because you have a special kind of connection with that place, does not mean that the property has interest for all the market. So it's clear that it's easier to buy something which is more popular, and you will have for sure a more exact and positive evaluation from the surveyor.
You have more chances to get a mortgage.
More chances as well.
Of course, the bank is really, is really focused on just the value of the property. They don't care about any other thing. They just check all the location, check all the what is the
one point
the property is worth, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. But one point that I would like to underline now is this, because sometimes people think that it's just important to give the real estate guarantee to the bank, and the bank will give me the mortgage, because they have the guarantee of the property. This is not correct.
Okay.
Of course, you have to show that you can repay the mortgage. Why? Because in the banking mind, they are not interested on getting properties, because they are full of properties of people who in the past they didn't pay the mortgage, so they don't want to be a real estate agency. The bank wants to give loans and be repaid. So it's not enough, because sometimes foreigners think that is enough to give the guarantee of the property. It's not like this. It's a very important guarantee for the bank, but the most important aspect is that the banks must be convinced that you can repay the mortgage with no problem.
Yeah, definitely. That's quite clear. That's quite clear.
And that you have interest also on that property, so that you will be interested on repaying the mortgage in the future, in order not to lose the property.
And that's everything we need to know about the bank survey. About the property.
Yeah, let's say the bank survey, it's important to say, if you want to speak about this very quickly, about this point, the survey will give us two values: the market value, which will have to be hopefully the same of the purchase price, and the cost to rebuild materially the house, which will be the basis of calculation for the compulsory insurance that the client must activate on the property when they receive a loan. And also, it's important to say that the Italian bank survey will only check these points, only the legality of the cadastral and urbanistic
so everything,
papers.
If everything is in order with the property.
Is in order, legal, but they will not check the structure of the house, the systems, the walls, the roof. So if you want to have a very good inspection in order to be sure that you are buying the right object, you have to carry on an independent, by your own survey.
Okay, so they will not check the soundness of the walls, the roof, and everything.
No,
they just need to check if it's habitable, as we said before.
If it's
and
legal.
Then they will check if it's legal. If I don't know, all the windows are in the plans, in the
in the right
office,
place,
the right place, and everything, and that's it.
Exactly. This is also a compulsory point to have a correct complexion, no? So it's something that is required also by the notary when you sign the purchase contract. So it's a usual normal point, but it's something that we have to take care of.
Okay, to bear in mind.
Yeah. To remind.
Okay, so you say they will give you two parameters, two values. One is the market value according to the bank, and that will be used
for the calculation of the loan to value
of the 60%, the maximum
of the 60%. If this will be lower than the purchase price, much lower, they will have to give you the 60% over this lower value. If the difference is not so much, it will be okay. They will not change.
So let's say you want to buy a house that you really love, so you it's okay for you to pay 150,000, but the bank says no, that the market value of that property is 100,000. They will give you 60,000 maximum.
Yeah, in this case, the difference of 50,000 over 150 is 33%. So it's a lot. So in this case, yes, they will tell you we must change the amount and give you only 60,000 euro over 100. If the difference is not so much, they probably will give you
not so much. What is
like
it?
5% of difference, something like this. 20,000 euro, 30,000 euro. Then it depends on the of course on the purchase price.
What if it's the opposite? You found a really great bargain. So you the selling price is 100,000.
It's the same.
And they value that property 150,000.
They will consider the lower amount. So in this case, they will give you. Yeah. They always want to be, on the right place.
Okay, so
on the right side of the moon.
So if the amount of money that you pay is lower than the bank survey, they will consider what you pay the property.
The 60% of the price in this case.
If the selling price is higher than the bank survey, they will give you according.
They will be very happy for you, but they will give you the 60% over the lower figure.
Okay, and this is another question that we got usually. What if I want to pay upfront
in advance?
In advance, exactly. In
Absolutely,
advance,
yes. The Italian law says that, and this is very good for the clients, especially from abroad, that you are completely free to repay the mortgage in advance, partially or totally, without any kind of penalty of fees,
Okay.
and in any moment. It is important to say that you have to do it by lump sum. You cannot repay every month with every installment a part of the capital. This not. You will repay the regular installment, but then sometimes you can repay a lump sum of the capital. If you repay partially, the duration of the mortgage will remain the same, but they will recalculate the plan of payments. And so in this case, the future installments will be lower than the actual one, of course, because you will have a lower capital to repay.
Okay, so it's not, if let's say your installments is 500,000 euro per month, you cannot give 600,000, so
Every
100,000
month.
euro more every month. So
no.
It's I got 10,000 euros, I put them in the bank, and they will recalculate all the remaining sum minus the 10,000 euros that you.
Exactly.
Okay. And if I want to extinguish the mortgage?
No problem. Maybe you sell the property or you extinguish completely. You can simply send the money and they will close it without any kind of fees.
Okay.
Any
So
cost.
in the first example, I got 10,000 euros. I want to put them in the mortgage.
Yeah.
They will not diminish the year of payments.
No, exactly.
No.
No.
If I got 10 years, you will still paying for 10 years.
Exactly.
You just lower the rate. So there is not possible to shorten the length. So either you close it.
Yeah.
You extinguish
but also there is not so much sense effectively, because actually also the rates are very good, so it's better to keep it probably. But if you want, for example, to face some problems of increasing rates or reduce the risk for the future, you can repay a part of the capital effectively.
Okay. But the length will remain the same.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And what about insurance? Does the bank require any type of insurance?
As we said before, it's important to make a distinction, let's say. So by law, there is a compulsory insurance which is over the building against fire and explosion. And they will calculate
very positive.
and they will very dramatic. And they will calculate these on, as we said, on the cost to rebuild material of the house. So they will give you back this amount of money to rebuild the house.
That's why you said before the two type of values. One is the market value, and the other one is the price to rebuild, the cost to rebuild completely.
Exactly. Then quite often the bank owns insurance companies inside the banking group, and they usually offer also some additional but not compulsory coverages, like for example over the building but against natural events, liability against third parties, or insurance in the contents, which is quite required, or against earthquake or theft. So but these are all additional coverage that you can get. It's important to say also that the bank will not require any kind of insurance, for example, like life insurance or job loss insurance, because effectively Italian banks cannot issue insurances of this kind to foreigners.
Okay, so they cannot ask you actually.
They cannot ask you also to subscribe this kind of insurance. So there will be no insurance.
No life insurance, no job loss insurance, but everything that according to the house, yes. So theft or burglar.
But as additional coverage.
Additional coverage. The mandatory one is the one on the house, on the destruction,
fire and explosion,
fire and the explosion, and you insurance for the value they gave you.
Exactly, and for the total duration of the mortgage. So the house must be insured for the total duration of the mortgage. If you have a mortgage of 20 years, the insurance will be for 20 years. Usually, it's a one-time payment insurance. Very convenient. Usually, they have a very good quotation. And you pay one time for the 20 years of mortgage. Sometimes is
so instead of
annual.
paying every year the insurance, you pay them up front.
Usually,
for all the 20
yes.
years.
Other banks, some banks require an annual insurance. But if you have to speak, let's say in general, general is the one-time payment.
Okay, as you said, it's even more convenient to the
absolutely.
borrower.
These are very, very good insurance, very good coverage.
Okay. And you said the other ones are not mandatory, but
No.
let's say, do they help you to get a mortgage since the bank earns?
It's clear that
the happier you make them, the happier they will be to give you a mortgage. Let's say that. Can we say that?
You are very politically incorrect, but let's say that
it's between you and me. No one else.
Of course, let's say that banks earn lots of money in the other products, no, because the mortgages are very, very at very, very low rates, so they don't earn so much. So they earn on the other products, but so they are very happy if you will get additional coverage. But I would say that in this moment is not this the point. I mean, and usually also for foreigners which maybe have
okay, another problem. I don't know if it's only Armando or it's also me. If someone can give me a feedback, I can still talk, but if someone can give me a feedback, they can hear me. And Armando, okay, we got Samantha behind the scenes. I know a lot of you know Samantha because she's really active on our group, Facebook group, and also our social. So we got her behind the scenes, helping us with comments and everything. So let's hope that Armando. Okay, we can hear you. Thank you very much. Confirmed. Okay. Let's hope Armando can get back soon, and also because I cannot talk about mortgages. I don't know, sing a song or do some dancing, but I'm not. You wouldn't be happy to see me dancing or singing. Anyway, so people, please keep asking questions. We are receiving all of them. So once this positive, okay, he's back. Great.
Sorry, but incredible. But the light, the currents, the electricity went away. It's crazy.
I don't know if in your area also you got bad weather, but here it's
probably
really bad. So
I'm
quite concerned.
Anyway, I hope that you said
I entertained everything. I was dancing and singing, and everybody was laughing.
Okay. So
okay. Yes, I think you were saying that all the other insurances, the non-mandatory ones, they would make the bank happy, but they wouldn't make much difference in granting you the mortgage. Also, because either you have the criteria to get a mortgage or you don't. If you do, they are happy to give it to you, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't, they are not happy to give it to you.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. If you are a good client, I mean, there will be no problem.
Okay, so at the beginning, you discussed about the currencies. So what if I know that you can also get a mortgage in your own currency? Is there a possibility, and which currency? I don't know. If you can tell us more about the currencies.
Yeah, let's say it's a bit different, the point. When we were discussing about the currency, I was meaning that if you are earning your incomes in a good currency, you have the possibility to get the mortgage even in euro in Italy.
Okay.
Then we have, because the bank will consider you as a good client, an acceptable client, because you are earning a strong currency, affordable currency. The point that you are saying is very good and very interesting, is another one, meaning that the bank in Italy can issue mortgages in foreign currency. So you will receive and you will repay the mortgage not in euro, but in your own currency. In this case, we can say that some banks can offer you mortgages here in Italy in pounds or in US dollars or in Swiss francs. And these are the free currency, I mean, the more traditional ones that can be lended. It's interesting because, of course, you receive euro in order to pay your seller, of course, but you will repay your mortgage in your own currency, so you will have not to run the risk every month in the future for the future payment of the mortgage to convert your incomes into euro, no? Because if you earn US dollar, you simply send US dollar to the Italian bank and you repay the mortgage in US dollar. You don't have to convert it and run this risk.
So when you buy the property, you give the money in euro, so you get all the loan in euros. Is that correct? And then, but you repay the loan to the bank, the mortgage to the bank in your own currency.
I will make a very quick example. For example, if you buy a property of 100,000 euro and you get a mortgage of 60%, so you get 60,000 euro, and you are from US, for example, so you earn US dollar, you will be given 60,000 euro that you will use to repay to pay the seller and to buy the house. But 2-3 days before the purchase date, your 60,000 euro will be converted in by the exchange rate of that day let's say 80,000 US dollar. No, so from that moment you will have a mortgage of 80,000 US dollars, and you simply repay 80,000 US dollars.
You will not be subject to any fluctuation of currencies.
Exactly.
That's quite good. Also because otherwise you have to pay the conversion every time you change. You have to pay commission.
You have to pay commission, and you have to run the risk, of course, to convert your US dollar, in this case, into euro.
Yeah, some month might go well, some month might go bad.
So let's say that your risk is only the day by which the bank will convert the total amount, but not for the future and following payments.
Okay,
it will be the bank who will run this risk.
Okay, that's quite interesting because it's a good benefit. And do they do all the banks do that?
No. There are only very few banks which can make this. But I mean, they are quite.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, it's worth a try. Absolutely.
And if a European person wants a mortgage, that would be.
Let's say it's a bit easier. It's a bit if you have your earnings in euro already.
For instance, a German. I read a question before. There was
German, French, Belgian. We have a lot of Dutch, for example, investing in Italy. No? Mm-hmm. So for this kind of currency earners, it's clear that is a bit easier. Is a bit easier. We have more banks, let's say, which can lend the money to them.
Okay, great. And can we go through the costs? I mean, how much does it cost to get a mortgage? What are the costs? What are the taxes? Or
generally speaking, also here, of course, we have to say this. We have some main costs that you have everywhere with every bank. First of all, the bank fee that you have to pay to the bank for the management of this kind of application. And usually it is calculated in a percentage of the mortgage amount, usually between 0.4 and 0.6% of the mortgage amount.
So on that 60%, they will give it to you?
Yeah, let's say 100,000 euro, 60,000 euro, 0.4% of 60,000 euro.
Okay,
effectively, this is a generic indication because sometimes you have some lump flat sum. We have to check. But this cost is always there. Let's say.
Okay. Let's say that everything we said, of course, is absolutely correct, but it's in general indications because each case makes a case on its own, as we say in Italian. Ogni caso è casa a sé. So that's in Italian. Each case, it's a case itself.
Yeah. So, the second cost is the survey, as we said. No, the bank usually externally to an external company which is specialized in making surveys.
So it's not an employee.
It's not the bank. No, it's an outsourcing company. who makes the survey.
Is
And
it
usually,
by law? Is it something that by law, or is it something that usually it's done like that?
It's usually done. So this has a cost. Also, this can be variable, but usually it's between 250 and 500, more or less. Then it depends also on the size of the property, but anyway. Then you have the mortgage tax. This is by law, effectively. So by Italian law, you have to pay a mortgage tax, which has different costs. If you will bring your residence in Italy, so you will buy as first house, prima casa. In this case, it will be 0.25% of the mortgage amount. Or if you will simply buy a holiday house without this kind of agevolation, you will pay 2% over the mortgage amount.
That goes to the government, to the Italian state.
You will pay to the bank, but the bank will pay the government.
So it's not something that the bank asks you, but it's the government.
Exactly. It's a law. It's always the same for every kind of bank in Italy.
When you say as a first home, we always remind that it's meant as a primary home. So it's not actually the chronological first one you buy, it's the one that you want to make as a primary home.
Exactly.
It can be also the
where you will
bought,
where you will move your fiscal also residency. This is a very interesting matter, because in this moment there is quite a big trend of people who wants to move permanently in Italy. So this is something that we are facing now with the new trend of smart working and so on. It would be a good matter to discuss, but it's not the right time here. And then you have the insurance, as we said, is the other cost, the compulsory insurance over the building against fire and explosion. These are more or less the 4 costs which are always present in any kind of mortgage application to any kind of bank. All this amount, apart this.
So how much is it? How much do you pay for the insurance investigation?
This is difficult to say, because it depends on the cost. To rebuild the house, it's very difficult to say.
Not even to give a rough idea.
No, let's say that for a house which maybe has a value of 300,000 euro, you can
Which
pay
value?
about
The market value, the bank value, or reconstruction value?
The reconstruction value in this case. You can pay like maybe 200, 100 per year or something like this. Then it depends if you have a one-time payment or not. It's very difficult to say, because it depends on the way you pay the insurance. In any case, it's quite low.
A rough idea, but
it's very low. It's a very low cost. So all these costs will be deducted from the gross amount of the mortgage. So our example of 60,000 euro of mortgage, all the costs will be deducted from this 60,000 euro. And so the bank at the end will give you a net amount, which will be 60,000 euro less these costs.
So they will withdraw. They will take it off.
They will take from this amount.
That's so you don't have to pay anyway. That will be so.
No, it will be deducted. So it's clear that you have to refund this cost with your fund, of course.
So we are getting closer to the end of it. So before we go to the question and answer section, is there any potential pitfall that you would like to advise not to fall in? Any mistake that usually people do and that we want to warn them?
Yeah, first of all, as we said before, my suggestion is not to lose so much time, following one bank. I would say no more than 1 month. Then it's very important, on the contrary, to say that it is not right and not good to present officially your case to more than one bank at the same time. This because when
you said officially,
because when you have an official mortgage application and process, the bank will have a consultation of the national Italian banking database. So they will see that you have another open position with another bank. And at that point, it will be a problem. You will have to close one of these. So officially, it's better not to carry on more than one mortgage application.
So you mean if a bank, you go to a bank and you open up an official request.
Yeah.
So they will ask to their tools,
to the database, and
to the database. So there will be an open
yeah.
position. So the second bank where you open another official request, they will check again. They will open another one, but they will find an already open position, and they cannot get into the database. So they will close the. So you have to decide either to close the first one or to close the second one. So only one at a time.
Exactly. Other two, I mean, small details, but quite important are, for example, the condition of the house. No, you must be very clear on this, because the risk is to carry on all the process, and at the end you discover that your property had some problems on the conditions, and so maybe the property is not acceptable for the bank. No? So it's better to be very clear from the beginning.
It's not that habitable.
Yeah, exactly. That concept. That concept. Okay. And finally, maybe we can say that, and this is quite important, Italian banks prefer that you don't get another loan, for example, in your house, in your country, no, to pay the famous balance of price that we were discussing before. No, so it's always better not to show to the Italian bank that you are maybe getting your 40% or 20% over the 40 or whatever from another bank, no, maybe in your country, because Italian banks wants to have clients which are not totally debt for an operation, no. Making the addition of the eventual two mortgages in Italy and in their country. They want that the client has an interest in the house that they are buying, which means that they put some money, some personal money in the house. Otherwise, they will have no interest, maybe in the future, to repay the mortgage. No? So it's very important not to show that maybe you are getting another loan somewhere else.
Okay, that's regarding what you said before, to understand the point of view of the bank, because they don't want to get properties, they want to get money, the money back they lend, that's their business.
Exactly.
So you say, if I make a mortgage, 6% mortgage on an Italian bank, the remaining 40% is on another loan, then
Italian banks will not give you the mortgage, maybe.
Yeah, of course, but also because maybe you're not interested to paying off the house, the
because
mortgage.
Of this. Because and also you will have another debt to pay. Also you will have another debt to pay. Also,
there is another
pay. So this is very important when you present your availability of funds, not to show that you are getting this money from another bank. Okay, this is a very technical point, but I think it's interesting.
Okay, let's start with the questions. So if you're the client at one bank and you try at another bank, do they see what the other bank said, and does that affect their decision? That's a good question.
Yeah, this is a good question, and the answer is yes, probably yes. So if you got a negative answer from one bank, it could be a problem for the other bank. Let's say that is why, and this is another suggestion, is very important, but also the bank knows this. No? When you go to a bank, it's very important not to make an official mortgage application if you will not receive from the bank or from consultants some kind of good and positive advice with good chances. Because it's better not to proceed at that point, because receiving a negative answer is worse than not proceeding.
Okay, I'll ask a question, because what you say, if I go to the bank and ask them, okay, this is the property I want to buy, and without doing an official request, how far do they go to give you answers on how likely are you to get a mortgage? Without doing an official, because they must have an official request to get into the database to make to get all the information about you and everything.
Yeah, I would say that you have to pass through a first informal moment, no, by which you explain your position, maybe you show some initial basic documents, and you receive a first potential answer. It's clear that not all the banks, even if you are the best client in the world, no, not all the banks give mortgages to foreigners. So first of all, you have to identify if this bank and which bank can give you potentially the mortgage by their policy, no? Because it's a mistake, effectively, to go till the end, till a negative official answer. No? So if you are expecting a negative answer, better not to do it. But also the bank, I would say, that they don't want to work for nothing. No, they don't want to waste time. So they will be probably them that initially they will tell you there is no chance because we don't make mortgage for foreigners, or because you have not the right parameters. So it's quite difficult to go till the end and get a negative official answer. But it's clearly better to avoid it.
Say they won't get all the machine running without being quite sure. Let's say not 100% sure, but maybe
it's also their
90%
interest.
Sure that you
also
are
their
eligible.
Interest.
It's also
their interest. No? That is why it's better not to wait more than 1 month, no, with one bank, because if they don't answer, means that they are not doing anything. Because maybe they don't have interest on these, they are quite sure that this request will not be successful, and so they prefer to make other requests, which maybe are more, no, they have more chances on it. That's it.
Okay, so quite clear. Let's say if there is other questions. Okay. Can you give a rough idea of how are the interests at the moment?
Well, let's say that in this moment they are very low, generally speaking. They are very low, so it's a very good moment to get a mortgage. It's clear that also these are more than in the other situation, there is a variability, no, on the offers. But we can say that the rates actually are between 1% and 2%. Then it depends if you get a variable rate, a fixed rate, the length of the mortgage, the bank. Sometimes banks get the risk to finance foreigners, but they apply a bit higher rate. No, so it depends what will be the approach of the bank, but more or less between 1% and 2%.
Okay. John Racioppi asks, is it possible to obtain a mortgage to buy land to build a new home? Can a non-Italian obtain a construction loan that rolls into a mortgage?
No. So it's not possible to get a finance to buy the land, simply because the land does not represent a good guarantee for the bank. No? And they cannot put their lien on the land. So it's not possible to finance the purchase of land. Sometimes, but in a very few cases, it's possible, if you have already your land, to get a mortgage for construction, let's say, for completion. Sometimes the bank required to have a minimal stage of the construction, which means to have at least already built the roof and the external walls, just to have a skeleton, a basic guarantee for the property. But generally speaking, the answer is that these kind of operations are very, very difficult because the guarantee of the bank is very weak.
Okay, that's clear. Barbara asks, to provide the bank all the information, do you need to submit a certified translated information?
Okay, this also depends on the bank, always, because the policies are different. I would say yes. Most of the case, you're required to have a certified translation, but sometimes not. And also depends on the language. No? For example, documents in English are, of course, more accepted even without a translation instead of, Swedish documents, or Arabic documents, of course. No? So the answer is that there is good probability that you will be asked for a certified translation, but especially if they are in English, maybe not.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's very difficult give a precise answer, because
I
every
think,
case is a case. But
yeah, exactly. I think we say that before people
yeah,
understand that, because it's
it is
very
possible.
difficult. We must provide a good information for
Yeah.
everybody, so it must be on a high level, of course.
Yeah.
And cannot be on the detail. Can I get the question? Okay, I'm an American citizen living in Italy with official residency in Italy. Does the rule of the bank only loaning 60% of value of our apply to me as a resident in Italy? That's Chris Miles asking it.
Okay, so yeah, this is a good point. The main point for the bank, which create a limitation to 60% of the loan to value, is not necessarily the residence in Italy, but where do you earn your money. So if you are a US citizen, even officially resident in Italy, but your incomes are in US dollar, for example, from a US business that you have, is the same. You are considered as a US citizen, no? So there is no difference. The only difference will be in the agitation that you can get on the taxes. On the contrary, if you are earning already incomes in euro and you make an Italian fiscal declaration, better if it is more than 2 or 3 years, at that point you will be considered as an Italian. So you will get more than 60%. So it's really depend on the location, the place where you earn your incomes.
Okay, clear. Let's see if there is another question. You recommend any banks that work best with non-Italian, in your opinion? That's a very good question, isn't it?
difficult. It's really depend of lots of parameters. I can only say that usually the national banks, let's say, no, are usually more structured to welcome a foreign clients, but sometimes also local banks can give, in any case, good advice. But it really depends on the location, on the region. It's difficult to say. The important is to be very to have the very clear idea and good position, of course, to show to the bank that you are a good because in this moment banks are making a natural selection of the clients more than before, because as you said, there is a mass of requests, so they cannot they cannot make anything. So it's very important to be quite serious and not so far from the complexion. No, okay. It cannot be an investigation, because in this moment they cannot follow all the clients.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Anki Jensen. She thanks us for the great information. And can you buy a reform house with cash and mortgage after the house is reformed? Jess Colaro.
What do you mean with reform exactly? Something that maybe is not finished, or
I think so. I think maybe Jess can be more clear, but probably he says that you buy a house to restore, then and then you get a mortgage after you restored it.
Yeah, let's say this is a good point, but renovation, apart from the renovation or whatever, generally speaking, we can say that it's possible to get a mortgage post-completion. No? Okay. So even for renovated house or to be renovated, it's possible to get a mortgage post-completion that refund you and make a reimbursement of what you have spent. You usually have to do it within 6 months or 12 months after the completion. Okay. Anyway, the specific answer to the question of the person is that yes, it's possible. I don't know if he was meaning a renovation of the house which is not habitable in this moment. No?
Yeah, I think so. I think you buy a
if
house.
If it is like this, yes, it's possible.
I think it's you buy a
so
house.
So if, for example, the house is not habitable and he buys it by cash and he makes habitable, let's say, then it's possible to ask for a post-completion. But as I told you, it cannot be for, it must be within a maximum 1 year. After
1 year from completion,
from
the completion of the renovation work.
Okay,
I think we run out of time. Also, we went more than 25 minutes longer than what was planned. So, people, thank you very much for staying with us. I hope that all the information we provided today was clear and
I'm sorry for the interruption of but anyway, I hope
no problem. Someone was asking me to dance tarantella. I think we will make another live stream to explain the tarantella dancing, and that won't be me showing it, of course. And of course, please keep asking questions. I know there are some questions we didn't go through, but if you keep asking questions, I know Armando and his collaborator will give an answer, all the answer in the comments. So these live streams always keep going with comments, questions, and information. Of course, that will be both on Facebook, on the private group Italia Destination of Gate-Away, but also in the channel, in the YouTube channel of Gate-Away.com. So you will get all the answer, and I'm sure Armando and his colleagues will be very happy.
Absolutely. Maybe it's always better to write, if I can give a suggestion, no? To write emails, but anyway, of course
you can either comment, or you have you can see the details of Armando going through. For more info about Armando Bechi, the website is www.armandobechi.com, and the English version is /en/ or the email is a.bechi@armandobechi.com. So you have all his contact details, but as you wish. Either you send him an email, you go through the website, or you comment in the live stream page, and you will get all the answer you need. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thank you, especially you, Armando. You've been very kind, clear, and competitive and competent. Sorry. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.